Time to start playing adult Legos. Got our oversized connects piece here. And we're gonna build the frame of the utility cabinet. The corner piece we have is actually angled in on one side. So we need to actually trim the bottom piece to line up with that so it's flush all the way down. There we go. So we'll have a nice flush face all the way on this side. Yep, just like that. So we need to use the hole saw like we did before on here to cut some access holes because we need to fasten this to the floor. And we're gonna be fastening it with some spacks. We're gonna put some spacks on it. And the head of the spacks is too wide for this gap. So I can't just screw it in right through that gap. So we need to expand, make some access holes with this, and then we can fasten it to the floor. What's wrong with this bit? That's crooked. Well, now it's really crooked. This is why I love aluminum. It's soft enough to cut with a table saw, easy to drill through, and strong enough to hold up 250 pounds of batteries. We're going to be connecting our adult Lego set with the bolts, the nuts, and the angle brackets that came with the 8020. Oh, this is where we find out if we made any wrong measurements. I'm already getting shavings and everything everywhere. Alright. So we're pre-threading these like so. Then this is gonna go here. And then we just slide it in. Like that. Okay. Now, and now it's finally time to answer the mystery, the age-old mystery of why, in the bathroom video, why I only put an aluminum bar up about half the way. You'll see this cross member, which is going to be supporting several hundred pounds, rests on top of this bar. If this bar extended all the way up the ceiling, I wouldn't be able to put this supporting beam on top of this bar here. I knew this was going to be supporting all the weight, and I wanted it to be completely supported regardless of the bolts. If this cross member only came to the side here, like this, and then I fastened it, that means that all that weight is basically being held up by one bolt. If this bolt gets loose as I'm driving down the road, who knows how many months, years down the line, and that can slip and slide down, and then all the weight that's on top of this goes with it. You don't want that. Short answer to the question of why that was built like that is for the structural integrity. Now, it's this kind of stuff that you got to think about several steps in advance. I had this in mind when I was back building the bathroom and framing out the bathroom, because I knew my utility cabinet was going here, and I knew how much weight my utility cabinet was going to hold. So that's what it takes. If you want to build this stuff out right, you got to think 10 steps in advance. And it's the same thing in the back. On the side of the bathroom frame, look what fits perfectly right in there. This cross beam is resting on top of this support beam. And the way this utility cabinet is going to be laying out, all my electrical will be on this half, on the right side, and all the plumbing will be on the left, which is why, again, we had the pipes come up on this side. Minimal amount of space to do everything that we need to do for plumbing. Minimal amount of space we need to do. Look at that. Cables come down here, pipes come up here. Plan is coming together. This is what the master planning looks like right here. The most efficient use of space possible. So now that you guys know what's going up here, what do you think's going down here? I'm curious. I want to hear your guesses. Give you one clue. No van has it, but every van wants it. Let me know what you think's going down here in the comments. So I'm a little under 200. And this doesn't even flex when I put all of my pressure in the center of it. So that's good news, because 200 pounds evenly distributed across won't do anything at all. Well, now I got to figure out how I'm going to fasten this to this. Nails? Nails? I thought about pocket screws coming in from here, but this is too thin to risk it. I could just glue it, but there's no way for me to clamp it. I can't clamp it because it's not 90 degrees. There's no easy way to clamp 45 degrees that I'm aware of. So I think I have to do staples or nails. Before we can add the corner piece here, we need to fix the top half of this to the wall. So the bottom half is fixed to the 80-20. That's not going anywhere at all. But we gotta make sure that this is straight from the bottom to the top. So you can see this is obviously not attached to the wall. We need to make it attached to the wall. Got some corner reinforcement pieces here. We're just gonna use some wood screws, slap it onto the wall. Pre-glue real quick this entire edge to make this joint a little bit stronger. I'm just using a really thin layer on here, and I think this also applies to plywood, but when you're gluing end pieces of actual wood together, pre-gluing it makes the joint quite a bit stronger actually. And this is so thin that it's basically it's enough to cover the surface, but it's going to dry in under 5 minutes. I've also got some holes pre-drilled in the aluminum here, 3 of them, all the way up and down. So I'm going to come in from the inside and screw the wood in from the inside, so there's no visible screws on the outside, just for some extra stability and to make sure the wood's actually fastened to the frame itself. Well, let this dry a little bit, and then we're going to come in and we're going to actually add a 1/2-inch extender on this edge here to act as a kind of like a face frame for the cabinet, because the cabinet doors are going to close this way, and they need something to overhang onto. And they can't really overhang onto this because then it would take up space here. So I need to add a 1/2 inch here, so that way the door can close basically right there, and it'll look good. Okay guys, it's edge banding time. We need to go through the cabinets that we made, not only on the inside of the truck, but the cabinet doors that we just cut. We have to put edge banding around all the sides. Because we use plywood, we don't want the plywood layers to show through on the edges of those cabinets. So we have a roll of this edge banding here. It has the glue pre-applied, and we're going to use the iron to heat up the glue and stick it onto the edges of these panels. So I cut a strip to a length and using masking tape to fasten it in place so that I can come on with the iron and melt that glue. I'm using this $10 tool from Amazon. Basically allows you to kind of slide along the edge and it'll trim the excess off of both top and bottom at the same time. Pretty nifty. And a little bit of sanding. So because of what I'm putting in here, can't actually have trim or anything on the bottom of this door. So the door is about 3 millimeters from the floor itself. Even on the inside here, basically makes this all look like one piece of hardwood all the way across this whole chunk. Well, let's see if one of my batteries fits in here. Well, there's one of my 2 110-pound batteries. This is my prototype case, but the other one will be roughly the same size. So I'll have 1, 2 inverters going to go on the wall there, circuit breakers, 24 to 12 volt step down converters, circuit breaker box up here. So you start to get the idea of where everything's going to go here. So guys, that's it for the utility cabinet on this one. Of course, as always, follow me at technobarbarian.locals.com if you guys want to get the extras. We're going to actually fill this cabinet out and maybe get some working electricity in here. Some solar panels, some batteries, inverters, all the good stuff hooked up. It's going to get a little technical, so get ready. We'll see you on the next one.